final slide for this section. So with what I just talked about, it's kind of like you want to think about who is my child inside of there. Sometimes when we see these external things, we see the grades they get in score, the points they put up on the scoreboard. We see them using drugs. That's actually an external thing. But did we see the struggles they had, the year prior to their drug use, or us finding out about their drug use? So I ask a lot of parents a lot of times to really think about who is your child and what are their struggles separate from their drug use. We're all engaged in this counseling process because we know they have a drug problem, but what are their struggles beyond the drug problem? And what is it like to be them? I had a young adult I was working with here about a couple years ago, and we had a family session, and he was sharing with his family what it was like to be him, and it was a big shocker to them. And what he had said was that he is so anxious that at parties, or not parties necessarily, but just being around other kids or coworkers, he would sometimes be scared to move his arm because he thought it would draw attention to him, that people would look at him, and then they would start to think about how his hair wasn't the current style, or how he dressed, or all these things. He had so much fear and so much anxiety going on, though he hid it pretty well. And he started to actually open up and share and talk about this in a family session, which was good. He leveraged our relationship to feel safe enough to talk about this with his parents, who he did not trust. So he started to talk about this anxiety that he had, and what it was like to be him, and what his struggles were, and how much he longed to connect with other kids but feared their criticism. The family's response to him was simply, "Hey, don't worry about what others think about you," which was a complete dismissive and avoidant response that left him having to feel these feelings all on his own and go through the struggle again by himself. He didn't get in that situation where the parents had good intentions of trying to help him. Hey, don't worry about what others think about you. He did not have the experience that he didn't have the experience of feeling felt. That he didn't have the experience that you really get, like what this is like for me. So then we spent the rest of the session trying to get him and talk about how scary that must be, and then how much it must preoccupy his mind to be thinking about that, and what kind of energy that takes, and how that must wear you down and make you more irritable and make you want to give up at times and not try, and just what a lonely experience this has been that you've been going through. And we haven't known the depths of that. And we honor you for sharing that part of you. So he shared that, and the family now became more informed about understanding their child, and he started to have the experience that he was actually okay. That experience of feeling felt was more therapeutic to him than any cognitive advice he could have received, and probably any medicine that he could have received as well. He had the experience that it's okay for him to be him. And that's what was going on in those relationships to other people, is he didn't like himself, so he thought others weren't going to like him as well. So those are just a couple of examples of how powerful it is for us to really get our child, and to give that experience to them, to slow down, to figure out how much we need to slow down, and slow down a little bit more, to give them the experience of feeling felt, that we understand them. We know it's hard. It takes a lot of energy. So what is it like to be? So what is it like to be them? What is it like to be in a relationship with you? What is it like for them to be in a relationship with you as the parent? What's that like? What are the messages they receive on a daily basis? Are they positive? Are they negative? Are they avoidant? Are they dismissive? Are they reactive? What are they? And maybe it's all really going good, but I'm just throwing out there different ways to think about understanding the relationship with the child. How do you support them emotionally? Do you just give solution-focused cognitive advice to them? Or can you take the step before that, and that is to help them have the experience that you get what that struggle must be like? How do you honor the parts of them that are different from you? That's hard. When my wife was pregnant, I had 3 wishes, the 3 prayers. And for me, having kind of worked in the field for a while, the 3 prayers were, of course, health. The second was, I hope that we're a good fit. I hope that they have many parts of them that are like many parts of me, and then we'll be a good fit. Because oftentimes when we have so many differences, it makes it that much harder for us as parents to like fit with our kid, and we need to fit with them so that they can have the experience of feeling felt, and we can help honor those parts of themselves so they can continue on with their growth and development. So that was such an important one that was number two on my list. And number three actually was is I hope that my child isn't born too bright and too high IQ. That might sound kind of funny, but most of the kids that I've worked with over the years are super bright, super intelligent kids, and those kids are very special with special needs. Those kids that are very smart are also usually living a very lonely experience that they need to dumb themselves down to fit in with other kids. That they aren't challenged enough, that and then when they have to dumb themselves down to fit in with the other kids, and sometimes dumb themselves down to fit in with the parent, it's again a part of themselves that is they have to split off from. The super bright kids that I've worked with are also kids that are very emotionally sensitive. They pick up on the vibe at home, the feeling in relationships, and they do so more than other people do. And again, that kind of leaves them in a lonely place if no one else is meeting them there. I've had guys in group that were really bright who can get everybody else in the depths of everybody else, but others couldn't meet him where he was. And I'd imagine it's likely that you have a child that has an extremely high IQ, above average IQ. It's the Mensa Society actually. People in the 99th percentile of IQ, as a strata, are actually at great risk for addictive disorders. Anyway, that ends the section one of the phase two parent class. And as always, if you have any questions about this, talk with your child's counselor about it and ask them in which ways it applies to you or to your child, and what is it that you can do to be empowered by this information. One of the things, we'll talk about this at the end of this whole class, is that one misinterpretation of this information is, I ruined my kid, or I did it wrong, or the other parent's doing it wrong, and here I am depressed and stuck. We're not supposed to be perfect, but we're supposed to evolve from generation to generation. That you do relationships, you do coping better than your parents did, and hopefully your child learns to do it better than you, and their child better than them. That the generations progress. This information isn't about kind of parent bashing or you bashing yourself at all. This is about education and information to empower you. Too often the message to parents of substance abusing kids was, you're powerless. You're powerless. There's nothing you can do. When in fact, yeah, you can't control whether they're going to use or not. You can create a structure of accountability to hopefully intervene. But there is your relationship to them is so powerful, and you do have responsibility and can take power of that relationship to learn from this information so as to move forward in your own development as they're having to move forward in their development.